Again, Power Chat viewers, this is Mr. Beanie, the organizer of this wonderful African Liberation Day event. We are so proud of this man. I would like you to explain your aim for this project and what you want to achieve out of this project.
First of all, I'm not just a one-man organization. There's a whole structure behind us. We have the Pan-African Congress movement and ASHO, African Caribbean Self-Help Organization. So I'm not a one-man. You might see me busy around the floor. Mainly I kind of floor manage the whole thing to make sure that everything is running smooth and everything is set up in time. We've been doing this for 40 years. We're the longest national, international event in the country. There's no other that deals with African culture and our African spirituality. So we hold strongly to this occasion. Unfortunately, what we're trying to get our people to understand, we're going to have to start paying £1 a week into an account which is over there. You can go and talk to Park Coffee over there about raising money to build our own buildings, got planning permission, and we need our own building because the kind of hassle we had this morning when we come inside this building was just ridiculous. Peer kind of trying to make you stumble over in planning it, because this is the only event that goes on that never had any kind of violence, alcohol, smoking. It's a family-friendly event. And African Liberation Day, for those people who don't know about it, started in 1963 by the Organization of African Unity. And we've been operating from 1975. We've been having African Liberation and moving all over the country. But now Birmingham become the home of African Liberation Day because of the travel distance between people and so on. So that's how we have planned this whole program out. This is about freeing the minds of African people. When you look at the continent of Africa today, you have Africans calling their own people foreigner. And they've never called a Chinese man a foreigner. They don't call a Indian and a Arab who's foreigner. And these are all invaders. And the latest invader is the Chinese. And they're only after one thing. They're after African minerals, resource. And that's why we say African Liberation Day, because Africa not yet liberated. Because the mind of our people need to be liberated. The culture of our people need to be liberated. We cannot move forward as African people if we don't get rid of this mindset of Arabism and Europeanism that control the minds of our people. And this is why we have to keep on saying to our brothers and sisters on the continent, stop selling out. We say to the Africans here in the West, stop selling us out. So everywhere we are as African people, we came in those slave ships, and we got the have no bones about it. We have to liberate ourselves. It took us a long time for African people who were taken out of Africa to say, I'm an African and I'm proud. And we got to stop imitating white people. We got to imitate self. We got to free that colonial mentality of just looking for whites to come in and invest in Africa. Come and invest. You never hear African government says, diasporan Africans, welcome and come home and invest in Africa. There's a lot of millionaires, black people in Africa, the United Snakes of America. And they're there. Why are they not reaching out to them? Why are they not reaching out to the scientists in letting the West come in and take our scientists or engineers when they come out of university in Africa, the brain drain. And it's the same here. We have too much Africans who are skilled that the governments are not paying attention. One of the problems with why we say Africa Liberation Day, our people has this mentality like, look, I don't care about African people. The presidents, them just like in the Caribbean and in Africa, just love, driving with down the road and ignoring African people. And why we have to get rid of the sickness of colonialism and the mental slavery. We need to remove these obstacles out of our way, and it needs to happen now, not yesterday. You ever see China investing people, calling people to invest in China? You see India do it? Nobody doing it. The only people doing it is African people. How come? That's ridiculous. And that's ridiculous, and we have to stop that.
Fantastic, fantastic. So it seems this has been a great initiative. And can you explain to us what it is that you actually have improved and what project that you have implemented and what change you've made in the community via this project?
Well, let's put it this way. We made a tremendous stride because our people are so confused of who they are. Before your time, my sister, I'm elder, 66. When I came here in Britain in 59, let me tell you this, you could not call a person a black person. He'll fight you, or she would fight you, or they'll curse you off. And they'll talk about, don't call me no African. I'm not an African. And it's that kind of mentality, this kind of African liberation have changed. You can go in the hall now and says, who are we? And they'll say African. They'll just shout African. That's okay. So it's clear that if you listen to our music and stuff, the music, like reggae music, always sing about Africa. So this is only helping to boost up the whole thing about being African and be proud of being African. So it's help people to be proud. And you can tell from the marketplace, a lot of people there and they're selling stuff that shows the cultural value of Africa. And that's what's important. It's important that we keep on getting our people to understand that we have to do. Can't set up anything there.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate what you're doing for us today. I mean, last but not least, in relation to the youth, I'm sure you're going to carry the torch over to some of the next generation that's coming. What kind of advice do you would you tell other people out there to empower the youth and what to instill in the youth? Because some of the youths nowadays are, misunderstood. And so we'll need elders like you to mentorship.
The problem is with our youths, their mind have been taken over by European culture, and that mindset they're into is about, if you look at it, they got like, they're always on the computer, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on all that. And Facebook and killer net where everybody is learning about your private life, and they will go on sometime. And because we're saying to the youths, be like me. At 14 years old, I joined the movement, and we've been fighting ever since 14. Fight against police brutality, fight against bad housing, employment, and so we need the young people to start taking up the mantle. When I'm gone to the spirit world, if they don't take up the mantle, they're doomed in this way. If you don't organize now, you'll perish in this country. And you see people coming over on boats from Africa and drowning in the Mediterranean Sea. We're saying to the youth, don't follow that example. Go home to Africa. Get your skill and go home to Africa and help build Africa so we can be powerful. Don't waste your time indulging into white Eurocentric behavior and cultural thing. Africa needs to impact on the youths in this country a cultural revolution. And we need a black guard, just like Chairman Mao had the red guard, to instill culture in our people.
Thank you so much. That was powerful. Power Chat TV. Our viewers, I hope you're listening. This man here is doing some great, wonderful stuff for the UK, and we hope to carry on the touch. And please, do we need to do to advocate and support this project to go on? What website could people go to, and where could people donate or whatever they need to do to help this go through?
If we're talking about building our own building, if you can get the information from that stand over there, and you can see the bank account and so on, and you can you can go over and just read off the bank account and just tell people, just give out. All we need, invest. We send to the youth and the elders, just invest £1 a week in a project that will build a center, though, so we're not being salty when we come into these buildings or disrespected by the people who own the building. The Creator bless them who has them own, and we need to have our own. It's our time to stand up. And just to say, we do our organization do work in Africa with children, mainly children. Yeah, in Uganda, Burkina Faso, Congo.
Fantastic. Well done. Thank you so much for your time, beloved. See you soon. Welcome, Power Chat viewers. We're here with the legend, the only one, Dr. Umar Johnson, one of my mentors. We're here on African Liberation Day, and it is awesome. Everything is going so fantastic. There's a sisterhood happening here and a brotherhood happening here. Dr. Umar Johnson, nice to meet you. My name is Caroline.
Nice to meet you, Caroline.
Nice to meet you. You have been on this movement for a long time, and you know you've empowered a lot of people. What started you off to do this movement?
It was somewhat by accident. When I came out of college, I was a member of the Marcus Garvey movement, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, Philadelphia division, and I was the youngest person in the chapter. And so the elders would often ask me to speak about school psychology, special ed, the war against black children, because they didn't have nothing else on the agenda. Yeah. And so by accident, I started standing up at the meetings and speaking, and then people would come and they would start asking me to come and speak here, come and speak there, just by impromptu, you know, and then before you know it, everything just kind of mushroomed from there. It was interesting because as a child, I was in the 3rd grade when I decided to be a clinical psychologist, because I didn't have an older brother. And so I said I wanted to be the older brother for all the African children who needed somebody to talk to and didn't have anyone. So after I graduated with my master's degree in school psychology, and I went back to the school district of Philadelphia, that's when I came face to face with one of the #1 wars being used against black boys, and that was special ed, ADHD, the psychiatric medicine. So being a Garveyite and a Pan-Africanist, sometimes your professional path don't cross with your revolutionary path. They stay separate. But in my case, they crossed, because in being an advocate for my people, being a Pan-Africanist, and being in the education and the mental health system, I saw that the education and the mental health system were systems of exploitation. And so my work as a Pan-Africanist went directly to my professional work as a psychologist. So when I speak, I'm able to talk about both, because it's 2 parts to the one whole. And in order for us to solve our problems as African people, we have to deconstruct the psyche. We have to reprogram the unconscious. So my professional work feeds directly into my Pan-African mission.
Fantastic, fantastic. Me being a psychologist myself, obviously I ain't got the clinical. I aim to go to the clinical route. But as we understand that this is all capitalism.
Yes.
The medicine is all capitalism. It's about money. So then how do we unpack our African minds to go back to the natural medicine?
Well, number one, I believe that prevention is the best intervention. So we have to prevent mental illness from even taking shape in the first place. And the bastion of mental illness for African people is the dysfunctional black family. That's the core, because all mental illness comes out of the family. So if you're addicted to cigarettes, alcohol, sex, overeating, shopping, how you look, every addiction comes out of an unmet need, and that unmet need is based in your family of origin. So no matter what the client comes into therapy with as the presenting issue, I'm going to find the core causes of that in the family. low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, bipolar, borderline. I don't care what it is, it came out that family. So now, that means the black community itself is the solution to mental illness for African people. That means the community itself, and by community, we're talking about the institutions, as well as the elders, as well as the citizens within the community, have to create a healthy environment so that African people can go back to their natural African mind. Because right now we are insane. Being addicted to white people, that's a form of insanity. Being addicted to integration, that's a form of insanity. Having our children dependent on British public school systems, that's a form of insanity. The African is the only species in the world that does not run away from danger. We run to the danger. Most people run away from the danger. We run right into it. I don't want to get away from my oppressor. I want to live with my oppressor. I want to marry my oppressor. I want to work with my oppressor. See. So what colonialism and slavery did was it twisted our minds so that instead of protecting ourselves, we spend more time protecting the system that oppresses us. So much so that the average black person would try to hurt you, harm you, or kill you if they heard you speaking out against white supremacy, their daddy, you see. And now let's go a little bit deeper though. You talked about mental health and capitalism. Very true. One thing we have to do is educate. Our parents need to understand that taking your child to the doctor to get evaluated by the psychologist is going to cause more problems than it solves. I've never seen a black child who had their problems cured by the white psychologist. Never in my life. Never.
Me too, by the way.
Never. I don't know one. I don't know one kid who been helped diagnosed with ADHD. I don't know a kid who been helped diagnosed with a learning disability. And part of that comes from the fact that these disorders don't even exist, some of them. Some of them don't even exist. The learning disability, ADHD, capitalist products. That's all they are, to get paid. They don't they don't solve any issues. But here's the thing. A lot of our mothers raising these children on their own, they're getting tired. If you're a mother and you're raising a son and the school is on your back, about ADHD on your back, about special education, what are you going to do? You don't know no better. You're raising these children on your own, no help. You're going to give in. I can't blame her. She's caving into the pressure of being a single mom. That's where the community comes in, because we keep trying to blame the single mother for what's going on with the children. How can the mother be what's wrong with the community is what's wrong? Yes. Where's the black church? Yes. The black church ain't doing nothing when it comes to the war against our children. Where's the black politicians? Where's the black business owners? Where's all the so-called cultural organizations? You understand? So we got to look at the failure of the community to protect its children and protect its women. You don't get to normal mental health. You don't get mental health until you have a community that is functional and adaptive. We are maladaptive and dysfunctional. Part of that is white supremacy, but the other part is black laziness, black complicity, black inertia, a lack of black initiative. And even in the conscious community, we have a big issue because everybody just wants to learn and study the information, but that's not going to save us. It's necessary. We need knowledge itself. It's necessary. But it's not sufficient. When do we start building the institutions? We want to read all the books, but we don't want to build no schools. We want to go to Kemet every year, but we don't want to build no hospitals. We want to do Kwanzaa. We want to do the festivals, but where are the processes, the systems, and the institutions that our people need in order to raise themselves up?
So I want to talk to you about the entertainment industry. This is one area that's got our youth trapped. What are your opinions on that?
Here's the thing. The reason why so many black male youth want to be athletes and entertainers, two reasons. Number one, they don't have enough role models in their everyday life that are not athletes and entertainers. If you come from the ghetto, from the hood, the average successful black male you see is an athlete or an entertainer. When he becomes a doctor, a lawyer, psychologist, educator, he moves out the black community. So our boys don't have everyday black male professionals to admire and emulate. The only thing they see is the athlete and the entertainer. So that's one reason. So we got to look at the black professional males who are vacating the hood, leaving these boys with the opinion that the only thing I can be is a basketball player, football player, or a rap star. So that's number one, our fault. Number two is the system. Our boys are deliberately undereducated, miseducated, psychiatrically emasculated, special educated, juvenile incarcerated, prematurely exterminated. So when you go through the white man's educational system, he works to disable you. He works to kick you out. He works to put you out. So if I'm a black boy and I don't like the way I'm being treated in school, I'm going to drop out. If I'm a black man and I don't like the way I'm being treated working on my master's or my doctorate degree, I'm going to quit. So it's not that the black boy doesn't want to do better. It's not that black men don't want better. It's the racism that you have to deal with. Take me. I went to a white medical college for my doctorate degree in Philadelphia. The chair of the department was an Italian. The chair of the clinical program was a Jew. The director of training was Jewish. The director of the Center for Brief Therapy, she was a Catholic. The guy who had to oversee my therapy trials to evaluate how I was doing in therapy, he was an Anglo-Saxon. Wow. All these, okay, who found out who I was, who tried to kick me out the program. They tried to separate me from the program because of who I was. You understand? So if it wasn't in me to win it, I would have quit. Because they had disabled so many other black men. They were calling me, Dr. Umar, I need to talk to you. They kicked me out. They kicked me out. You understand? So it's hard for a black male to make it with all the racism that he faces. Here's my thing. Why do our children even have to try to survive in a white reality? Why are we putting that on them to go to college and try to get a job with white folk? Why they got to go to college at all with white folk? Why we don't have our own institutions, our own economic reality, our own political system, our own economic order? Our kids should not be told, go to college, learn from these white people, and then they're going to give you a piece of paper and then try to go and get a job with the same white folks. That's not fair, because them white folks are going to look out for white kids first. Look at the unemployment right here in the UK. Half the black men are unemployed. New York City, half the black men are unemployed. Toronto, Canada, half the black men are unemployed. Let's go to Jamaica in the Caribbean. Half the black men are unemployed. Look, miseducation and economic destabilization. That's what creates poverty. That's what creates crime. And that's what creates all these mental problems that we're dealing with.
So, Dr. Umar, we know the problems that penetrates our community. Now, how do we exterminate this? By taking our community to become unified. I mean, we know the struggles. So how do we implement now?
Unity is not a simple thing, especially with oppressed people. The problem with oppressed people is that oppressed people don't respect the opinions of other oppressed people. That's our contradiction. We in the same condition. And because we in the same condition, your opinion don't mean anything to me. You understand? So when we come together to solve a problem, it always turns into fighting, factionalism. Because even though I know we need to work together, I don't want to listen to you because you ain't no better than I am. You see that? So the post-traumatic slavery disease is at the heart of any attempt to bring black folk together. There's something else we got to understand. We assume that black people have a problem with white supremacy. We assume that black people want to get rid of white racism. That's an assumption you cannot make. If you study our history, what do you find? It's not the racism that black people have a problem with. We've been conditioned to accept the white man as Lord. So we don't have a problem with him being in control. Do you know what our problem is? We have a problem with the position he's given us in relation to the power structure. So the average brother or sister who's fighting in the revolutionary movement ain't fighting against white supremacy. They're fighting to improve their position under white supremacy. So, for example, in the 1960s, during the Black Power movement, they often say that the brothers went in with a fist into the government. Yes. They came out with a job. When they came out with the job, a lot of them gave up the revolution. You understand? A lot of them became politicians. They became preachers. So did you really have a problem with the racism? No. You just had a problem with how you were positioned under the racism. So we got to make sure we pick the people who are serious about overcoming the oppression. because a lot of us are not, even the revolutionaries. Talk is one thing. Culture is one thing. Knowledge itself is one thing. Having the courage to speak truth to power, willing to sacrifice life, limb, and money in order to improve your situation, that's something totally different. You understand?
I understand.
And the last thing I would say to that is the children are the solution, not the problem. Here's the problem. Baltimore, Ferguson highlighted something. I was in Baltimore right after the riots. I had a town hall. Let me tell you what's going on in America. It's probably going on everywhere. We have an intergenerational divide that is not just about age. We do have a youth elder thing, yes, but that's not the issue. Not the you know what the primary issue? You have a courage divide. In other words, the children are willing to go to jail. The children are willing to stand up to the system. The children are willing to die for freedom, but the adults are not. When you looked at Baltimore, they told our brothers, stop rioting. And it wasn't a riot, it was a rebellion. But they said, stop rioting, go home. They didn't say we're going to do anything about the police brutality. They didn't say we're going to do anything about the schools. We're not going to do nothing about the racism in Baltimore that has the white folk getting the biggest share of the economic pie in Baltimore. That Baltimore rebellion was breathing for years. That was just the catalyst. But my point is, the children were in the street. The adults were afraid. The adults wanted no part of it. I have a job. I have a retirement. I have a car. I have a house. I know they wrong, but I'm not going to get involved. So we got an issue where the children are fighting without the support of the adults because the adults are scared of white people and the children are not.
Systematic oppression. So thank you so much for that opinion. I mean, what do you think about tribal segregation? I mean, in our community, in our African communities, we also have that tribal segregation. That's all. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Garveyism. The philosophy of race first. If we put the race first, these other issues don't count. Light skin, dark skin don't matter when you Pan-African. Muslim, Christian don't matter when you Pan-African. Rich, poor don't matter when you Pan-African. Jamaican, Philadelphian, Black, British don't matter when you Pan-African. So my thing is go back to Garveyism. Go back to the foundation. Put the race first, put the religion second, put all the fraternities second, and then we come together under who we are, our shared collective racial history. That's what makes us. We came out of our mothers as Africans. We chose to be Christian. We chose to be Muslim. We chose to be Black, British, Black, English. That's superficial. That ain't skin deep. It's a label. But being African goes to the DNA. Being African is in a chromosome. Being African is in the blood. So we say go to race first and you cut all that out.
Fantastic. Last and not least, I'm not going to keep you long because I know people are waiting for you. What message would you like to give to the youth out there? I mean, especially the England youth.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing I would like to say to the youth. Rebellion, violent or nonviolent, is a necessary first stage to any serious push to change one's reality. You've never seen any group in world history get anything without pushing back against the system of oppression. There's no such thing as changing anything without some form of rebellion, violent or nonviolent. So I want the youth to know that they're not wrong with what they did. They're not wrong, okay? Just like y'all had the rebellion here a couple years ago based on the same situation. Police murder. You see, that is necessary. And we have to stop telling the children it's not because we scared to go to jail. It's necessary. Yeah. You see. Absolutely. But I want the youth to understand that after you tear down, after you push, you have to construct and build something. So my thing is make sure you're planning the construction after you've taken care of the destruction. Because if all you're going to do is tear down and you're not going to replace anything, at the end, you're a reactionary. You're not being proactionary. They also need to recognize that all great African men and women throughout history did three things. They studied, they struggled, and they disseminated information. They studied. You got to be knowledgeable. They struggled. They fought back against the system and defended their people, and they disseminated information. They made sure they educated other people. So the youth have to make sure they're doing those things. The study group We got to bring the study group back. The think tank, we got to bring the think tanks back. The hard copy newspapers and magazines that was a vehicle for intellectual revolutionary thought, we got to bring that back because that produces collective consciousness. But the adults have to help the youth, stop condemning the youth, and stop judging the youth because you scared of white folks and they not.
Thank you so much. So last, we're going to talk about your school.
Yes.
I understand that you're building a school for African boys. Yeah, oftentimes most people will say, oh, I'm not from America. Why should I invest my money in an American system? How comes he didn't do it in Africa? How comes it from what he's talking about? So what do you have to say about that?
Well, here's the thing about that. The school that we're building, the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy for Black Boys, that is an international school. So it doesn't matter if the child lives in France, London, Nigeria, Los Angeles, Jamaica, they can come to the school because it's international. So any child can come. Now, up until last month, we were looking at the St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia as a location. But I just heard that the federal government is going to buy St. Paul's. Now, the federal government has never bought a black college ever, but they're going to buy the college that I'm trying to buy. Yes, I just heard this a couple days ago while I was in Chicago. The government is going to buy the college, so I can't get it. Number two, that's okay, though. I learned about another college that's in the southern part of the United States. $900,000, 85 acres. There's a dormitory there. There's a trade center. It's right next to a river. The school is the town, so we can build a black Wall Street, not just a school, but an independent black community, and they want $900,000. Right now, we have $300,000. We only need 600 more thousand. So we're asking everyone to go to GoFundMe.com, GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar, DRUMAR, and make your donation because 600,000, that's not a far off goal. We can meet that. St. Paul's was 2 million. This is only 900,000. We have 300,000. We need the other 600,000. Okay, so I need everybody to go and push so we can build this school, and we very well may build the school in Africa. We very well be. I'll be going to Africa this summer. I'm going to be meeting with a traditional ruler, a king. We're going to talk about potentially building the first school in Africa. But even if I don't build the first school in Africa, I would like the second school to be in Africa. So that is still a goal, and that is still a very likely outcome of this whole thing. So we still pushing. We got to raise the money, $900,000 to get this school. I'm not telling nobody where it's at because you got that hater element. You understand? So I got to keep it on the hush. But please make your donations. GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Umar, for Power Chat TV. Thank you.
My name is Patricia Bamrangirwa. I'm based in Birmingham. I am a writer. I have 3 books now. Rwanda Yesterday, my mother's Rwanda Yesterday, which I wrote as my first book. And My Mother's Dreams, which was my second book, and which was selected to be in the best books in February this year. This book is about story of my life. And when you read it, you can't put it down when you started it. Rwanda Yesterday is a history of my country, Rwanda. And my, so far, which is not at last, my last book is Patriotism. This is a collection of my poems. And these poems, some part is in Kinyarwanda, other in Kinyarwanda and English, in 2 languages. But so far, all my books, according to those few people who talk to me after to read them, you can't be bored when you get my book.
Fantastic. What made you start writing as East African lady? What made you start writing about your culture and your country?
Why I started to write is because of my life, my background. That has made me to write. I grown up in exile. I went out of my country when I was young. Started going in different countries. Lost my mom in early age. that life, I saw that I had 3 reasons which made me to grown up in a situation which I didn't deserve to grown up in that way. To be outside of my country, lost my mom, and to be a girl, African girl at that time. So it denied me my opportunity as a child, opportunity which I deserved to get as a child, including proper education. But I grown up with the anger, but that anger, it helped me to be able to teach myself enough to know why I had to pass through all of that. After to know why, after to be able to know why, that is how and why I become a writer.
Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to getting more books from you. Where can people obtain or get your book if they want to read them?
Yes, please, readers, welcome and get my book.
These books, how can one obtain these books and get them so that they can read and have a copy?
Yes, you can. If you go to internet, you can get them through internet, through my publishers, Amatoda, Trubado, or Amazon. My Facebook was, you are going to get me through my names, Patricia Bamuranjirwa. This name I know is not easy to many, because it's the proper African name. I can spell it to you for you. BAMURANJIRWA, Bamuranjirwa. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. We'll look forward to getting these books on Amazon and Facebook, as the lady said. Hiya, we're here with Noma. Noma is writing books. She's got a book called Jamaicans in Nottingham. What is going on with these books, and why do you write about Nottingham especially? Because there's lots of places in London you could have wrote about.
Yes, there's too many places people write about London all the time, but Nottingham is really under-researched, and we're not doing enough to archive and to write about and record our history, for what people have done in the city for hundreds of years, especially the last 100 years. A lot of West Indians helped build the city of Nottingham. A lot of West Indians helped build the city. They helped establish education centres, the health service, the train service, political life in Nottingham. We've had black sheriff, black mayor, Jamaicans as well, but Africans, you know what I mean? So my job really was that I wanted to help record history, because we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough outside of London. Yeah?
So we're not doing enough outside of London, but I mean, it takes an important individual like yourself to really tap into that and see what's going on outside, because obviously there's a lot of, minority of black people, and there's quite a few racism going on outside of London. How have you managed that?
Well, it's perseverance, resilience, and belief and encouragement from elders who said, encourage me to do it. I've done a lot of research over the years, and you have to help research your own community history. You can't just do other history, European history. Some of it, yes, you need to understand, but you need to contribute to your own history. So that's why I did it, really.
Fantastic. So how can one get your book? If we want your books or obtain it wherever, how can we get you? How can we get in contact with you?
You can buy the book online. If you contact nottinghamnewscentre.com, you can buy it there, or you can buy it on Amazon, or you can buy it at Hansi Publication. They're an African Caribbean publication. They sell it there as well.
Thank you so much for your time, Noma. And hi Charlotte, I understand you've got some t-shirts you're selling. What's the aim of this project?
Yeah, that's right. We're selling t-shirts which are £10. All the money goes towards our grassroots charity organisation in Haiti. The organisation Friends of Foundation Felicity. Felicity was the wife of Emperor Dessalines, the liberator of Haiti. So we're here on the back of the earthquake that happened in 2010. Our website's www.friendsoffoundationfelicity.co.uk.
Thank you so much for your work. We look forward to hearing from you soon. We'll see this lovely business of yours, beautiful African prints. Would you like to tell us what your aim for this business is and what are you doing here today?
Well, I've been part of this event for 3 years now. I'm a textile designer, so my inspiration is African prints, my culture, my background, and I think this reflects what I'm trying to show here today, diversity within my culture. Thank you.
That is great. That is great. So how can we get your products and what website do you have?
I've got a website. It's www.anaisarts.com. So you can link up with me as well on Instagram or Facebook. I'm all over.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you very soon on African Liberation Day, and we've got some products here. I mean, what is this?
We have here is a range of nutritional products that boost the immune system, give you energy, repair body cells and tissues. They provide the body relief by actually improving your body's capacity to heal itself. And these products were developed by Professor Charles Sally, who was a researcher in both Western and traditional herbal medicine, and treated over 18,000 patients with an 80% success rate. And he was also featured on CNN because of the success he had with HIV/AIDS patients. And today these products treat people with diabetes, high blood pressure, lupus, menopausal symptoms, as well as also people who've got challenges around asthma and also arthritis as well.
By the way, Professor Sally is from my country, Uganda. Yes. So I already know about Professor Sally, and I understand merengue. Very good product. So you come here all day, every year?
Yeah, we tend to be here because we believe in African liberation is about also health. You know, we need to, as African people, we need health and well-being. We know that we are growing in awareness about how we can heal ourselves. Our great ancestors were using herbs and nutrients to heal themselves. So we are continuing that tradition to help us to use what I would call the Asian traditions that Professor Sally was able to research in Uganda to bring them back into here in the UK and also worldwide, where we were actually partaking in some of our products. But you can get more information at our website, mariandina.com. And also, you can have one of this is where we are based, and also
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you soon. Now we're so. We see some nice jewelries here, man. African jewelry, African elephants, and all that. We've got some nice African imprints. They're all. This looks like it's from Kenya, Masai, or yes. I can tell you look beautiful with that. You made them yourselves?
No, these are made by some women.
Okay. Fantastic. Oh, you got all these bangles here. I mean, we also have got like these African imprints still. We've got some bags, we've got some ointments. Looking nice. This is African sandals, by the way. Oh, a nice imprint on that. We've also got down here, it seems that we've got some Power Chat TV. We're here on African Liberation Day. That's one of our guys, our Ugandan guys. He does deals with investment. We are here to support African Liberation Day. There's lots of projects that are going on, especially Dr Umar Johnson, who will be coming with a message with the African Liberation Day. We have had a discussion. We hope to see you soon. We'll be doing a few interviews, and we hope that this will influence you. And come and join the project when you have time. Thank you so much.
fewer people by the year 2000 and about 3 billion fewer by 2050. And that plan required vigorous efforts by all interested countries. So we know those interested countries. They allocated an annual budget of $60 million per year to implement this program. I'm going to skip some of the highlights in the report, just to say also that they regard Africa, as we know, as an LDC, one of the less developed countries. Some of the actions that they talked about in the report, they called for technological innovations to reduce population growth. They called for the involvement of bilateral and multilateral and private sector agencies and organisations in implementing their plan, intensive abortion campaigns and programmes, intensive efforts at fertility control, intensive birth control programmes, further experimental projects. They called for the implementation of such health programmes as a condition of aid support to African countries. They wanted to increase female employment and business opportunities for women in rural areas, as they had their research highlighted that these were the groups that tend to have the largest families. So they wanted to increase female employment there. The poorest, they said, who often have higher fertility rates as well, they wanted more precise, targeted programs at this particular group. So this memorandum actually puts in...
We have a strong immune system, but you know, see how them tricky, them come in our country and feed with that whole heap of processed food and all kind of fast drinks, and you know, them take off natural food and then we go to something else, you know, and then they come with these these years. They want to kill you off, so they make me hungry, thief with diamonds, thief with silver, and then leave you with nothing and impoverish me so they can come in. They come in with the Agenda 21, which look how pretty from the outside, because they matter about world must come together to save the planet. But they're not really saving the planet, they're saving themselves. Because when every 180 governments them sign up to this Agenda 21, it means that everything is governed by one people, and we know that United Nations is run by America, the World Bank run by America, and the worst one of all is the World Health Organization. We call it the World Homicidal Organization, because this is applied, my brothers and sisters. It starts from, you can go back on to the 18th century. We talked it last week at a debate that the Red Indians, the British was in India, America, which is their land, the Red Indians, thieving their land as usual, as the Europeans do. And they treat the Red Indians, they say, don't side with the Frenchman, we will help you. So then give them blankets, but they never know, say the blankets poison with smallpox. So if you know, say they can do that in them time, know what they can do in this time when they have all their technology. All right, the Ebola, let me run it too fast because we don't have much time. You see the Ebola, if you can go into the New Wave Scientific Journal, you will find that these companies, 3 of them, all of them is scientific, biomedical, biotech companies. They start some research on immune systems and which area you think them have them research. Search up the same newspaper, New Wave, the same companies are getting 10.8 billion to come with that research. Fit cure immune system. So they're giving us the research, the illness. They make all the bag of money from the pharmaceuticals. And they come in with this aid. We're running in with the world that we will control what they have put. And the only way we're going to come together, brothers and sisters, to fight the demon is learn the people the truth. Because if we know the truth, we exercise the truth, we start with Africa first. We get about Babylon, England, not the left. Economy gone down, them tricky, them know say Cameron are coming because he want to put the right policies in place. So they cut off our national health. And then they make the people there.
But after. So it's interesting to be here in Birmingham today, and then in another Birmingham in a week. Last month, on the 10th of April, or maybe the 11th, but I believe it was the 10th, we buried who was, in my opinion, I University. It was my first time to Howard. I was 17, 18 years old, I'm 40 now. And so we went, and I heard this elder speak. And what he said and how he said it grabbed me out of my seat. And his name was Dr. Yusuf bin Yakin. I never heard of him before, but I would never forget him after that day. I went back to Philadelphia and I went to Hakim's bookstore in West Philadelphia, our oldest. And I bought everything that had Dr. Bin's name on it, or so I thought. Got to the funeral and realized that Dr. Bin had published almost 50 different manuscripts. I thought I had them all with 12. So you learned a little something. But we took him to